The word global is seemingly more prestigious and more appealing than the word local. But in the real sense, is there any difference? Is there any global destination that is not someone's locality? Today we have a lot of people celebrating Chelsea, Man U. But the question is, are you aware it is someone else's local league? And you are able to celebrate it today because someone discovered the potential, the value in something that is local, added excellence to it, and could have fans from across the globe. To someone living in Nigeria, a friend living in the US lives overseas. But of course, for someone that lives in overseas to visit you in Nigeria, the person will have to travel across several seas. That means you too live overseas. Now, the interesting thing, one of the striking factors about the Android phone is that when you travel from one time zone to another time zone, it splits into two clocks, showing home and local. Home, where you are coming from. The local time now is that global destination where you are. So assuming I move from the Akanwidom Airport in Enugu to Changi Airport in Singapore, despite the fact that Singapore is tagged a global destination, it will still be referred as a local time by my Android phone. Showing now, one of the striking things we need to understand is that globally time is managed in such a way that the minute hand is the same across the globe. But of course, the difference is in the hourly time. So for instance, if now in Nigeria we have 15 minutes past the hour of 1 p.m., it is going to be 15 minutes past the hour of 7 a.m. in Washington, D.C., and of course, 15 minutes past the hour of 8 p.m. in China. What is common? The minute hand. It is 15 minutes past the hour, past the different local hour time that is available in that terrain. And what does that mean to us? It means that the minute hand is global, and of course the hour hand, which shows you exactly a reflection of your locality, is local. Now judge for yourself. Which of the hand of the clock is more significant? Is it the hour hand, which shows local, or the minute hand, which shows global? Which of them is more significant? Of course, the hour hand, which shows you the locality. Local is the basic and functional unit of global. Every location on the earth is a subset of the globe, is an integral part of the globe. No matter how minute or little it might look on the map, once it is expanded, you would imagine the level of gap that can create on the globe. And now I want you to think, supposing Africa is removed from the map, do you think it will still be a complete globe? Back here in Africa, we owned the moon by gathering under the moon for moonlight stories. But it may interest you to know that that moon you see from your hamlet in the village does not just belong to your village people. The same moon is available to your country, your continent, and for the entire globe. And same is applicable to the sun. Is there anything like the European sun? Do we have American sun? Do we have Australian sun? So when people say they are from the first world and we are the third world, I dare to ask, is there anything like a first world sun and a third world sun? Is there anything like a first world moon and a third world moon. We are all in this together. When I was young, I used to think that traveling on a first class meant traveling on a different vessel other than those that were in the economy. But over time I realized that whether you are in the economy or you are traveling in a first class, we are all in this together. If anything happens to that, the aircraft all is affected and we are headed for one destination. Agenda 2030 of the United Nations come with a striking motivation: leaving no one behind. When we talk about leaving no one behind, the average Westerner thinks those left behind can be found in Africa and Asia. But I want you to know that in every community, in every nation, there are people that are left behind. And if we are very serious about tackling the issue of poverty and hunger by 2030, then America must of necessity consider 1 out of 7 children that go to bed hungry in America as part of those to be factored in ending poverty and hunger by 2030. At the moment, in the UAE, we have an ongoing 6-month event, the World Expo, where 192 nations are participating. And it's an opportunity for each nation to tell their own story in their unique way, share their experiences through innovations by coming with different pavilion that depicts a core message applicable to that nation. You also have culture. They tell the story through culture, through their cuisine. And of course, what you have here is the UAE pavilion. The national bird of the UAE is the falcon. And it is so respected that if the owner must carry the falcon and you are traveling in first class, most likely you will see a falcon also seated in a first class. Because of the premium they place on that. It has played an integral role in the culture of Arabs. And that is why, in all that they thought of, the best they could use was to come up with a pavilion that is likely to the model of a falcon. And then of course you have the China pavilion, fashioned after the old Chinese lantern. And then on you have Luxembourg pavilion, and then the American pavilion, each telling their stories in their own unique way. Thus, what really makes it a global event is that every nation, every participating nation have an opportunity to tell their story in their own unique way. Assuming that the event was all about America or the UAE, is it really right to call that a global event, since the different narratives are not factored in the whole message? I have two advice for Africa. Before we adopt anything as conventional or global, we need to ask ourselves 2 questions. Were we part of that convention where that decision or the standard was adopted? If not, is the convention designed in such a way to favor all that is consigned or that will go by that convention? Now I want you to take a look at these 3 men. Who is corporately dressed? We know that in our own clime, when you go to work, the man at the middle, when you are asked to dress corporate, that is the mindset we have. But of course, when you go in the UAE, you will see, including police officers, in most cases, dressed like this. They are proud of their own attire. They understand that it is accepted, and by valuing it, all others can value that, and it can also be seen in some other clime as something that is corporate for them. And I've always wondered, why will anyone want to esteem a white wedding as more valuable than our own traditional wedding? Of course, it is someone's own traditional wedding that you see as global. and as a standard for yourself. Supposing I call someone who is in China, and of course, in China, if there is morning in Nigeria and then afternoon in China, and I say good morning, and the person responds, it is not morning, it is afternoon. And we keep arguing, no, it's morning, and he says it's afternoon. I can only factor in the Chinese man if I choose to say good morning this afternoon, and what that means is that he feels factored into the narrative, hence that ends the argument. If an air conditioner is to be designed to function both in the temperate and in the tropic, of necessity it must have the capacity to cool and to heat at the same time. It is not one fix for all. And now come to think, how did that which began in a local community in Wuhan, how was it able to spread and become a global challenge without the aid of the internet? Are you aware that COVID-19 could be transmitted through several ways except through the internet? Imagine how massive it would have been. But for the fact he was able to go across the globe without the internet shows you how interconnected we are beyond the internet. Because local is global and global is local. Thank you for listening.